Both these areas are located in South Central and have been rivals for decades. I'm going to detail some incidents between the two. The Broadway Gangsta Crips have been around since the 1970s and have two different cliques, the 5 Deuce Broadways and the 11 Deuce Broadways. With the Broadways being in the gangster car, they're allies with hoods like the 8-Tray Gangsters, the Avalons, and the Troubles. The Broadway Gangsta Crips beef with gangs in a neighborhood car, especially the East Coast Crips. East Coast Crips are one of the Broadway's worst enemies. They have a lot of cliques under the East Coast Crip identity. I covered all those in a previous video. The East Coast Crips are allies of gangs pushing the neighborhood Crip car, and I covered that already as well. They beef with gangs like the Hoovers, the Grape Streets, and at a point F-13 and the Kitchen Crips. They also beef with the Broadways, just to name a few. In this episode, I will detail a 12-year period in this beef, detailing various cases from 2000s on up. June 2nd, 2002, around 4 p.m., Dontavious and Contrell, a 6 Deuce East Coast Crip, were riding in a car with 2 women, one being a woman named Keisha. A gold SUV would soon pull alongside of them and begin to fire. Dontavious was the driver and he ducked, and so did everyone else in the car. Dontavious would be shot several times and lose his life. An off-duty cop would be behind the cars during the incident and seeing Dontavious duck and see his car hit a gold SUV, which has caused the SUV to flip, and a man would be ejected from the SUV. Contrell and Keisha would take Dontavious to get help. By the time the off-duty police got to the scene, 2 men were running, and the man who got ejected from the SUV was on the ground. He would soon get up and run, but was later arrested. His name was Anthony. Him and the other 2 men were from Broadway Gangsta Crip. Keisha would identify Anthony as the shooter. She would also testify in court. Anthony's own girlfriend would be the main witness in this case. She would say her and Anthony were hanging out on 54th and Broadway when an SUV pulled up with other Broadway members, and Anthony left with them. She would say the 2 Broadway members who got away came back bragging about the shooting and how they got some East Coasters. Anthony received life for the shooting. This next case happened on January 24th, 2005. Around 6 p.m., William and David were sitting outside William's house in the 5 Deuce Broadway's turf. A gray Chrysler would pull up a few houses away and a few men would jump out and begin to shoot. David would run and return after the shooting stopped to see William shot in the chest. He would lose his life. David would get a police description of the car and the shooter. 3 days later, January 27th, police would stop the gray Chrysler. The driver escaped, but the passenger would be caught. His name was Edward, and he was from 6 Deuce East Coast Crip. Inside the car, they would find papers showing the car was rented in his mother's name. Police would speak with an informant named Timothy, who knew Edward. He would tell the police Edward was involved in the shooting. Timothy would say Edward bragged about the shooting, even saying what he used in the shooting. Edward received 50 years to life. November 16, 2005. A man named William was sitting in front of a house on 62nd Street in East Coast Crip turf, talking to a woman. William's friend Darren was also nearby. A dark Cadillac would pull up and begin shooting at William and the woman he was talking to. Both would be shot, but William would lose his life. The woman in the shooting and Darren would identify the shooter the next month. A man named Joshua would be picked up. Joshua would deny being in the Cadillac. Then later, he would change his statement after the police showed him evidence that he was in the car. He would say he was not the shooter and was just a passenger. That was later proven false, and that him and other 5 Deuce Broadways came in the area to put in some work. Joshua received life for the shooting. April 5th, 2010. An East Coast Crip named Ray Dog would lose his life. Shortly after, a man named Taishan would suffer the same fate. He was thought to be a Broadway. It was determined to be payback for Ray Dog. Taishan would be driving in his car before he was shot. There would be many witnesses saying it was a man named Cecil. Cecil was bragging about shooting up a car. He even was telling people he had another East Coast Crip as his lookout. The day after the shooting, the police would pull over Cecil, and he had his pole on him. It was determined it was the same one used in the shooting. Cecil will be sentenced to 80 years to life. The last case happened on March 29th, 2012. Officers will be driving on 53rd and Broadway, where they noticed a white minivan stop in front of a taco stand. It will be shots fired from the van, and the van would skirt off. Officers would pursue the van after. The police would arrest two men named John and Wesley after they crashed the van into a tree. Both were members of the East Coast Crips and were shooting at the Broadway members who were at the taco stand. The women who worked at the taco stand would testify and pick out the shooter. John will be sentenced to 30 years to life. To conclude this episode, if you haven't already, check out my previous videos. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.